just come out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in this way, it isn't our fight. I mean, it's everybody's,
Is that
everybody's gonna be on that.
Is that on?
No.
No,
it is. No, it is.
Later. No, I thought the call with the businesses went very well.
Nobody really.
I think they all get it, and a lot of people were looking at things already before we even had the talk.
Sure.
You know, there were some questions about enforcement and stuff, but it was very. We're going to meet with them again this Friday. I asked them to look at what the ordinance was, and if they had any questions, to call you guys up, or us, or whoever, just let us know what they were thinking. And I thought as a group they were very good.
Do we know what we do with the election yet?
I can talk a little bit about that in the meeting if you want. It's not agenda, but I think we can do an update. It sounds like they're going to be allowing extensions on it. So same ballot, we've already got absentee ballot requests out, which isn't a problem. So we hope to have something on Monday, probably on that. That's veto day, and that's the last day that they'll be able to.
I was curious what it would cost us to send an absentee ballot to the voter.
It was,
Is it
there are a fair number of paper cuts involved from what I understand.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is there anything in this about churches?
there is a
Should we put something in?
Should there be?
If we want to talk about that, I suggest we
Yeah.
go into executive. It's kind of like church, instead of passing the fees, we pass the sanitary wipes.
How do I know Billy didn't just get the outside dirty when he
Wipe the outside.
Here, I wiped the outside of this.
Wipe your hands and then rub it on Chad's head.
I was just kidding about the thing.
Did you?
I'm good unless you guys want them.
No, I got my own.
I've got hand sanitizer. Don't forget your phone.
You got all jackpots germs the other night anyway.
He was directed toward Billy. I was pretty much ready.
I couldn't go over as far as I could. I couldn't go any further.
I didn't want to send out Tracy's lap. Is this where, is Jackson calling in?
Yes, it is.
Well, surprised I haven't heard from him already though, so.
Setting that up.
It's nice elevator music.
Yes.
Were you a little shocked with your FaceTime call today?
Yes. I was expecting you to FaceTime. Here, Jack says, what's up, dude?
Really should have brought a guitar so it looked like you were playing. So.
What time was that baseball?
I think so.
Is that?
6:30.
Is that-
Yeah, it's a call though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Justin changed
Oh, he
it.
just walked in.
He
Yeah.
changed it to a call.
Are you going?
Good call in.
I am not calling in either. I was instructed when I went and filled my wife's car with gas, I needed to wear rubber gloves to put the gas in. So
Yeah, it doesn't do you any good to wipe stuff, the handles off if you don't have gloves on. I've seen people doing it.
Costco got done.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right.
Listening, see if he joins in.
Sure.
Thank you.
We're going right to new business unless anybody has something to add to the agenda.
Do you need a motion to approve it?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask for, anybody has
So
any?
moved.
Okay,
Did you wanna go into exec about that? Add that?
I think we probably should.
okay, we'll add an executive session. Okay, now I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Chad,
Second.
Chad, Wolf, and Riley. All in favor?
Aye.
Jackson's still not with us. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll carry on. Agenda's approved. You have before you, the one that was first considered and then an amended one that falls more in line with what the governor has been recommending, I guess is the word. You'll see, look at some of those changes.
The changes are highlighted in yellow.
Changes are highlighted in yellow, the differences from the other ordinance. So you have two ordinances. The first one is closing bars and restaurants. The second one is closed to 10 people or over. That's the one I'm recommending we consider tonight, as it's more consistent with the governor's executive order and the CDC's guidelines for the time being. There are additional changes I would like to suggest in this, and I do have some comments from the public. If we'd like, I can read those off.
Jackson?
All right.
Good. Can you hear us?
Turn it up.
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
We
can
just
hear
had
you
to
too.
turn the volume up, so I wanted to make sure I had it at an appropriate level.
Yeah, I can hear.
Good. Okay.
So I received a number of comments. The mayor requested a meeting with local businesses yesterday at 2 o'clock. That meeting went, I think, quite well. We had a lot of great
Yes.
feedback afterwards, and during that meeting on possible suggested revisions. I think over the last day, I'd say the majority of the comments I've had back are regarding the fitness center here right on the corner north of City Hall. Mary Hill, I guess, I believe, is one of the owner-operators of that gym. I did send her email on to all of you yesterday, her lengthy one. So I won't read that, though we will make sure that everybody got a copy of that. I did receive another one. I'm not going to read the name of this person for confidentiality reasons. And I'll just read off what he emailed this afternoon. I've been a member of our community here in Lennox for over 8 years now, along with my wife and daughter. The reason I'm writing you is that I'm concerned with some of the new city ordinance and shutting down certain local businesses. As we all know, this virus and its problems have become an issue. We understand and know the things that we need to do to protect ourselves and our families, whether that be staying inside, keeping our distance, and or washing our hands. It also means not congregating with others in hopes of slowing down the spread of the virus. With all that being said, I'm concerned about the proposal to shut down our local community fitness center. Up to this point, I have not worried one bit about utilizing the facilities at any time fitness. Usually it is no more than a handful of people in there at any one time. The facility has stayed on top of things with providing additional hand sanitizer and spray bottles used to clean most of the gym equipment when you were done using it. Unlike other gyms in other communities, theirs is a small town gym that stays a lot cleaner than other facilities. This particular gym uses towels and sanitizer to wash down all equipment after they are used, like I stated above. Other gyms that have recently been shut down do not do this. This is something that was in place long before the virus started. I feel that this alone will help cut back on the spread of any virus. Rather than shutting down the facilities, my hope is you'd allow a small business to stay open if they put a restriction on how many people are able to use it at any one given time. I also feel like if we shut the gym down, it's going to negatively affect a lot of people's health and well-being, both mentally and physically, mine included. My other concern with shutting down the facility is the financial strain it will put on another one of our already almost non-existent local businesses. We are a small community that might not be able to rebound financially. So with that being said, please take into consideration that our local community knows the procedures that need to be taken to ensure our family's safety and well-being. I ask that you please reconsider shutting down and possibly permanently closing another one of Lennox's small handful of local businesses. For some people, the gym being closed may have a devastating effect on their day-to-day lives, myself included. I suffer from severe mental illness, and the gym is all I really have. Please don't take that away from us in this time of mass confusion in this area, we ask that you please allow the gym to stay open. Please help us keep some hope alive. I received another email late this afternoon from Mary Hilligus again. She had some more feedback on the ordinance that you have in front of you with the changes highlighted. Stated that athletic facilities may remain open no more than 10 patrons at a time, must be staffed personnel during all open hours. She suggested peak hours. It is a 24-hour facility, so I'll leave that up to the council in terms of which direction they go with that. I rarely see more than 10 people in there, but again, I don't see it all day either. And then the last email I received was from Pat Kerner. Please don't close down the fitness center as long as the 10 or less rule is followed. So in terms of amendments to the amended ordinance, on page 2, I would suggest a discussion on number 2 as it relates to athletic facilities, whether you want that staffed all the time during peak hours or if it's a bit of an honor system. They also had a call about, I had 2 calls, one of them from Mr. Poppinga about the penalties for violations of the ordinance. We sort of set it out in this ordinance, but it's not spelled out. What section 11, or chapter 11, section 0101 refers to is South Dakota State Code as it refers to, or as it relates to class 2 misdemeanors, which are punishable up to a $500 a day fine. So I would suggest language inserted there that any violation of the ordinance is subject to fines as a class 2 misdemeanor with up to $500 a day.
And that's something that the state already has in place as a recommendation.
We would keep that, we would keep that reference in there, but we would just spell it out what that would be.
Question, does that go against the person or the business?
It would go against the business. Technically,
Because I know previously we've had issues with the smoking ban.
Sure.
The thing was, it doesn't matter to the business because it goes against the person.
okay.
So,
I think we, whoever is the licensed owner, operator of that business, would be the person that receives the fine.
Okay.
They're the ones that are responsible for it. In the case of bars and restaurants or other facilities that have a liquor or a malt beverage or wine license, the person that holds that license is the individual that would be responsible.
and those are owned by individuals, not.
Correct.
So in that case, it's a fitness center then at 2 in the morning, and I don't see this happening. At 2 in the morning, has, 12 people in there working out. And a policeman drives by there and all this looks more than pretty full. I would say that the business owner then make sure they're, what'd they say, 188 in that email? People that are part of that fitness center understand that this is a hardline kind of ordinance.
This is a serious
Yeah,
deal.
yeah, and I hope it doesn't come to that, and I don't think it will. But again, things like that could happen.
I understand, with a 24-hour facility like that, it's probably difficult to staff it. I guess my thought would be, do you consider reducing your overnight hours, taking those out, and making sure there's staff there during your open hours to, because I would hate for them to get fined unknowingly because 12 people show up,
At 2 a.m., yeah.
right? Or whatever.
Right.
And as long as I think if you tell your members, look, if you show up and there's 9 or 10 in there, then you gotta wait,
You gotta leave.
Yeah.
whatever. But
I think given the
What are they doing in Sioux Falls?
10 or less,
At fitness centers?
I believe that we don't know what their ordinance is gonna say quite yet, but the indication we got from the mayor's office today was that they would be doing 10 or less across the board.
And speaking of that, because I watched that today, and there's a lot of chat questions about, well, does 10 or less mean employers and people
Employees,
working,
yeah.
right? So if you've got 4 people in a kitchen or can you only have 6 more? Is that, and they never answered it. So I
I
don't
would
know.
suggest that it's 10 people, period.
That's
Okay.
my understanding, is
Okay.
But that is good clarification.
Right.
Yeah.
I think given the,
So this fine that we're putting on these people, if they have more than 10 in there, is that per time or is it just a one-time thing?
per day,
Per day.
So if they did it,
And then, can we change the fine amount to make it more?
that's,
Maybe escalating?
why don't I talk to Brett about that?
that's a good question.
I think it is a good question, because if we, I think we can, but what we'll have to do is take out the language that refers to the specific section of South Dakota code.
Because if you own a bar, and I'm not saying anyone's gonna do this, but if you own a bar and it costs you $500 to open up that day, and you make 3,500, what's $500?
Right.
I mean,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But in using that example, there are other avenues we can take, possibly as a council, correct, if they choose to,
For a bar,
for
yes.
removing license or whatever.
Yes.
From what I'm hearing, a couple of the bars are already looking at doing carry out. I went over to one today and they said they're gonna start on the 30th.
Yes,
Whether they do or not, and the other one already started
today.
today.
Yep.
So, you know, we do have some positive responses.
I know, but
Yep, I'm not saying
If
pull
it
back.
goes on longer.
3-4 weeks down the line,
Yeah,
it's,
no, I think we don't pull back from that, but from what we're talking about, I'm not advocating that at all. I think we go through with the fines and we follow through with the teeth of this and we look at fine tuning it, whether it's gonna be building on it or moving the fine up. We run that through our attorney. We find out what we have.
Yep.
And, you know, we just take it from there.
What I would suggest, if that's what the council wants to do, I'd recommend writing that in tonight, what you want that graduated schedule to be, so that, you know, when we get to the second reading, it's not a substantial change. Now, if Brett comes back and says, yeah, we really can't do that, then we may have to do a little,
well, I'm thinking, why don't we just change the first offense to $5,000?
you can't.
I mean, and then it just doubles every incident after that, which I don't think, if you have it at $5,000, I don't think there's gonna be one.
That's what I mean, obviously we're different than Los Angeles, but I guess what Los Angeles was 5,000.
Wasn't it?
I think it was.
I read somewhere that maybe it was Los Angeles, where if businesses didn't comply, they were shutting off their water.
They are, that's correct.
I mean, for bars and restaurants, and just putting them out of business.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'll ever get there, but
No.
I just think
And
if we start with a $500 fine, I mean, if I owned a bar, I'd probably pay the $500 to be open on all day Saturday. I mean, that's why I mean, it's for the protection of the general public.
I can't remember what Sioux Falls was doing, but I think they were doing a class 2 misdemeanor, with the same language that we had.
Yeah.
I can't remember for sure, but.
They
A
do
lot of this language was taken from Brookings' ordinance, which created a few challenges in terms of how we wrote certain things, since we have different forms of government, but overall, most communities are going with some variation of what Brookings did.
And as far as the gym goes, I mean, I would rather see 20 people spread out over a bar than 5 people in a gym sweating and, I mean, because when you walk from piece of equipment to piece of equipment,
In that space
in
too.
that small of a space, I mean, there's a lot of perspiration, I would assume. I mean, the windows are foggy when I drive by, I've never been in there, but.
heavy breathing, that's, I mean.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
in the
that's
air.
what concerns me about that. I mean, if we're in something the size of the high school gym and things are 5 feet apart, I think it's a different story. But. I don't
I do know that they do emphasize cleaning down everything after you leave. They do have it on video. It is monitored.
Well, that doesn't do us any good if a week from now we have
I know.
50 people sick because Chad Riley forgot to sanitize the 8-pound weight he used.
Yep.
Yours is at least a 10.
Well, I guess that was part of my my thinking that, you know, they, whatever hours they choose to be open, they have to have staff there, because if there is staff there, that staff can make sure that things are wiped down,
Well,
you know.
and here's my thing, but are they wiping down and I'm not picking on the gym, it's just a different example than everything else. Are they wiping down the floors? You know what I mean? And that's because, I mean, that's where sweat ends up.
And
I
I
don't
guess
know.
that's where I'm going with an employee, if they have
Yeah.
instructions to,
Every hour on the hour.
every
mop.
2 hours, you gotta mop an area, I don't know.
What if one of these individuals that wrote into Nate is the guy that comes in at 2 in the morning? You know, if we limit hours to say
Yeah.
9, 10 o'clock at night.
This just isn't gonna work for everybody all the time.
Right,
That's-
it's
that's-
not
The
perfect.
reality is, it's,
Denise Hanson just texted me that there's some chats on our YouTube feed from Chris Hilligus, who is one of the owners here as well. I'll just read them in order. Good evening, 500 isn't enough, question mark. $100 for each person over the 10. Bars I can see, but what about other small businesses? There's plenty more room. And yes, all floors and mats are cleaned. I think that there's plenty more room. I think that was when the council was discussing the size of the building. And if I interpret this correctly, and he'll probably, I hope he confirms here shortly. But I think what he's saying is if you're over the 10 people, then you're fined $100 per person over.
Okay, one of the things that, and again, this is part of the public comment section falls with this, but I think we have to look at this and not just take in one, or one of these, but broaden it out, instead of talking about examples, what happens with everybody. If we do it at $5,000, then that applies to $5,000 to every business that is.
Yeah, you can't have
100%.
one-offs for
Yeah,
certain
so, and just to keep that in mind, we're not gonna talk about one specific segment, but we're looking at the whole. So that's what we need to do, is look at this as a whole, and what we're gonna apply, applies to everybody, so not to use one example, but to look at how that impacts everybody.
Jackson, you're the one that brought up stepping up the fines. Did you have an idea in mind, or had you heard talk about that? For a second offense or a third
It
offense?
was just brought up to me by somebody, and I said we would look into it, but if we
Okay,
go to $1,000 per time, I mean, that'd be kind of, you know, that'd be detrimental to them. You wouldn't think they would want to do that.
I mean, people are gonna have to understand, I mean, it's like the seriousness of the issue versus, you know, the business that's being run, and I understand both sides of it, and we just want we don't wanna penalize.
Right.
Um,
We want to.
But we don't want to break what the protocol is or what the statute basically is coming down from the state either. And, you know, if 500 is like, well, I can live with that, I'm gonna do it, then maybe it should be higher. And it's gonna be, I know different businesses operate differently and the clientele is different and the environment's different, but we're not gonna sit here and nitpick on, well, that should be 100 and that business should be 5,000. We're not doing that.
Yeah, no, I was just using the bar as an example.
Right, right,
Because
right.
I mean, me, if I owned I'd do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you knew you could make it back.
So,
The thing that makes me wanna kinda follow suit is when I watched that thing today up with Mayor Tenhaken, he said, well, what does it it doesn't matter in Sioux Falls if Harrisburg and Lennox, I mean, he named the Lennox, if we don't follow the same protocol,
mhm.
which I agree with. I think
Right.
the metro community is a community, whether we want to admit it or not.
That was very much our discussion with the local governments on, was it Monday morning? I think?
Yes, it was.
That if one of us acts and nobody else does, it's simply shifting the problem from one community to another.
And I fully agreed, and I said, we all should be in the same boat, rowing in the same direction, having things that look pretty much the same, you know?
And I guess, in my opinion, I would stick with the 500. Only, it's 15 days, it's 2 weeks. And
Yep,
after 2 weeks, we can look at this again.
yep,
You know, it's not like we're implementing this for the next month or the next 6 months, it's 2 weeks.
yep.
And I guess if we do that, and then in a week we find out that we've got 4 businesses not complying, okay, then we need to revisit this, and we made a mistake then.
Well, I just think you go high right away, just to shut down the fact of people trying to screw by it for $500. I mean, that's my,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, 15 days with this thing is a long time.
yeah.
oh, are you kidding me? I'm pulling on, I would drive to Cologne, South Dakota right now to sit in a ball. I mean, just to interact with people, adults. So,
I think when we look at this too, and you're right, this is rapidly changing. 50 days is our meeting, but the way it's going now, 5 days is a lot. 5 days is a long time. I mean, we might be talking about this, and we have it in 15 days, but I'm not going to hesitate to call an emergency meeting. If tomorrow, whatever the governor says has a dramatic impact on us, we're gonna probably meet again. If we find out that we have something going on in this community, and it's not just me, but it's the council members, and things seem to be going too fast, we call another meeting and we respond quickly, you know. The only problem that we have in just doing this first reading is we have to have 2 readings to enact an ordinance. And so we don't have time to sit around and wait.
that's why I think we get it right the first time. Like, for example, I had a customer call me today because they have workers that come from Minnesota to South Dakota to work, they're right on the border. And they were asking for like a letter, because apparently in Minnesota, if you're working in an essential business, you have to have a letter to be
that
able to
says that,
insurance.
yeah.
So, I mean, other states are taking this far more serious, or not serious, but putting more restrictions on it than we are.
Yeah.
So if we leave it at 500 a day right now, we can have our first reading.
Yes.
If we wanna research a higher fine or a step tiered fine, we would have to do that and then have a first reading later. Correct?
Yep. While we've been sitting here, I did just a little bit more research on this. So if we go higher, we could do a class 1 misdemeanor, which is $2,000. You could do first offense a class 2, second offense a class 1, or any variation of that.
I'd be okay with
It would be difficult for us to pass 1 tonight
Right.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
change it for the second reading. That would just be very difficult.
Restart the
Because
clock.
you could easily consider that, in my mind, a substantive change to the ordinance. So that may require.
well, I think that makes sense then, to
Yeah.
go
that. Yeah,
to
if we
class,
can do that,
we go to a class 2 first, and a 500, and then your second offense is now a class 1, yes?
Second offense would be, we'd call first offense class 1, second offense class 2.
Gotcha.
Excuse me, opposite.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, okay.
Second offense of class 1, and what's that fine?
1,000.
2,000.
2,000.
Right.
And I'll run that by Brett, and make sure that that's okay on his end.
I think that's a good choice.
Do you want to amend then that, if they stated the orders of that gym about the peak hours then?
Yeah, we need to figure out what we wanna do there. I'd like to hear from the council on staffing or not. Chris did talk about, they have software that allows us to see who and when people are there and can monitor at 24 hours. The only time we have more than 10 people are peak times, and we can have staff there for those times.
That's fine, we can amend to say that.
To peak hours?
Yep.
And this problem, we just look at it later.
Okay. You wanted to bring one possible amendment up in executive session, from what I understand.
Yes, so if we're good with this, I'd like a motion to approve it as amended, and then
oh, don't we need to go executive
Yeah, let's
session?
do it. I would suggest executive first, so that if we do have a change that comes out of it.
And then we come out. and-
I'll make a motion to executive session for legal.
Second.
Most second, all in favor?
Aye.
Pose same sign. Take a small break, we'll go into executive.